registration sheet being passed around. So if you haven't signed up yet, please make sure that sign up with attendance registration.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I guess we can already begin. Okay, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. At maligayang pagdating dito sa ating munting forum. Okay, na pinamagatang Combating Misinformation 101, The Whys and Hows of Fact-Checking. A lecture organized by Akademya Bayan kontra Desinformasyon Tayaan, or ABACADA, Congress of Teachers and Educators for Nationalism and Democracy, or CONTEND, and artista para sa mga bayan ng progresibong edukasyon at kultura ng Isara Diliman. Ako ang inyong tagapagpadaloy para sa hapon ito. Ako si Mike Pante, isa sa mga conveners ng ABACADA. Ang ABACADA ay isang fact-checking group na binubuo ng iba't ibang mga profesor, akademiko, guro, mananaliksik na gusto tugunan yung problema ng disinformasyon, historical denialism, historical distortion na naging sa ating lipunan itong mga nakalipas na taon. In fact, binuo ito nung nakaraang eleksyon, 2022, na alam naman natin na noong panahon ng eleksyon na iyon, especially during the campaign period, napakalaki yung ginampan ng papel ng disinformasyon para pagandahin yung pangalan ng ilang mga kandidato. Hindi ko nalang pangangalanan yung mga kandidato niyan, pero sige ko kalalan mo kasi nanalo yung kandidato yan. So, huwag na natin siya pangalanan. At ginamit ang disinformasyon para dumisan yung pangalan ng iba pang mga kandidato. Okay? At sa araw na ito, nais natin balikan yung mga karanasan na iyan at balikan rin yung halaga ng disinformasyon, yung halaga ng fact-checking dahil na sa konteksto natin, sa kasalukuyan, meron na naman tayong kinakaharap na eleksyon. Okay? Another national election is upcoming, di ba? 2025 senatorial and local elections. And in fact, bukas, tomorrow, it's a very important day kasi di ba meron bukas? Meron bukas ay, wala mo siya nakakaalam, baka di mo siya sinusubaybayan ng balita. Tomorrow is actually the start of the campaign period for national candidates, national level candidates. So meaning, senatorial candidates, yung mga nakikita natin, kaya pasok na kayo mga survey, medyo nakakalungkot yung resulta ng mga latest surveys, SWS, Pulse Asia, and as well as the party list elections. So tomorrow will be the start of their official campaign period. Kahit na kung tutusin, kahit naman hindi mo nagsisimula yung campaign period, we are already seeing all their campaign materials all over the Philippines. Minsan nga, sabi, nakita ko sa Facebook post na parang mas nakikita ko pa yung mga ni Abalos kaysa sa mga mukha ng kapamilya ko. Diba? Eh, supposedly, the campaign period hasn't started yet. Kasi bukas ko lang siya may simula. So, how do you deal with those kinds of things? Mahalagang pag-usapan natin yan. Okay? As college students, I'm assuming all of you here are already registered voters. Tama ba? Kasi kung hindi pa, tapos na yung registration period, hindi na kayo pwede humabol. Most probably, this will be your first time to participate in a national election. So, please, 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 maximize this opportunity. And by saying na ipa-maximize natin yung opportunity, it's not just about going to your precincts in May 2025 and voting. Hindi lang yun. Okay? It's not just that. Participating in a national election entails taking part in discussions, public discussions. such as this. Kaya nga ito binuo ng bakada, content, at bisara para siguruhin na hindi lang basta tayo pumipili ng tama, nakikilahok rin tayo sa pagsisiguro na yung mga tao sa paligid natin ay magkakaroon rin ng mas malalim na kaalaman higit sa pagkalat ng impormasyon. Kasi sa dulo ng lahat, yung pagboto ng mga tao, yung pagpili nila ng mga kandidato ay nakaangkla, it's anchored in getting correct information. Tama ba sinasabi ng kandidato ito bang claim niya ay mayroong accurate basis, factual basis, yung bang black propaganda against certain candidates, dapat ba natin paniwalaan yan? O baka naman pinapakalat lang yan as yun naman, black propaganda. So these are the kinds of things that we need to tackle. And we are blessed this afternoon because we have 3 speakers to talk about the nature of fact-checking in relation to the elections from 3 different perspectives. So ito yung overview ng ating hapon, ng ating forum sa hapon ito. We have 3 points of view, okay, with which to view the upcoming elections. In fact, the topic of fact-checking. We have a journalist to start our discussion later. So we put to the vista ng isang mamamahayag how do journalists handle the issue of fact-checking. And then the second one, we have a historian to tackle especially historical disinformation, historical denialism, or historical revisionism. Kasi makalaga rin yun. A lot of these candidates have ties to historical figures. Nabanggit ko na nga kanina yung isa. Diba? So, how should we confront historical denialism, historical distortions in relation to the elections? And then lastly, someone who will give an artistic point of view. How can we use our artistic, creative abilities in order to convey yung ating mga pinaniniwalaan sa election? But how should we also understand artistic renditions of opinions, arguments, etc.? So, mapala tayo na may tatlong tagapagsalita para magkaroon tayo ng iba't ibang perspektibo, abot-tanaw, para unawaan yung napakahalagang paksa ng fact-checking. Sige, hindi ko na paratagalin pa. Let's now proceed to our first speaker. Now, our first speaker is Dr. Marian Josa Nagistep, who's with the Faculty of Journalism of the University of the Philippines College of Mass Communication. She earned her doctorate from the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom, and she is one of the coordinators of Check.ph, a pioneering collaborative fact-checking project for the Philippine elections. At gusto ko rin banggitin na yung binabandera kong grupo kanina, which I'm a part of, yung Abacada. Abacada is also a partner. One of the partner organizations ng Check.ph, because Check.ph is a network and alliance of different fact-checking groups. Abacada is so proud to be a part of Check.ph. So, hindi ko na matatagalin pa, pasalubungan na ng palakpakan, Dr. Josa.
Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Pwede ko po. Okay, it's nice to be here to use the classroom because we're used to having small classrooms at the Department of Journalism. So when you're a teacher, you can walk from one end and go around and then deliver the lecture. Then the classroom. This afternoon we discussed fact-checking in 2025 election from the point of view of journalists or the media. I'm going to walk you through the basics of fact-checking, its history in journalism, what are the issues in fact-checking, and also the emergence of what we call factivism or activist fact-checking. And I'm also going to give you a link on, if you want to learn about fact-checking, there is a self-taught course of the Agence France Presse, an international news agency which created several modules on how you can learn about fact checking on your own. Okay, so. Okay. Sige, what's the latest, Marites? So, ito yung sinasabi ni Mike kanina. Last week, on February 7, we launched what we call as Check the PH. Rebooted. It's a 5 million fact-checking project for the elections in the Philippines. And we launched it kasi kailangan bigyan ng attention ulit for this year's election. So, ito yung sinasabi naman, they're the first dun sa sets of logo. So, if you look at this logo, tatlong grupo to. First is the media group. May ABS-CBN, Agence France Presse, may DCUP, may Philstar, Press One, Verify. So, yun yung mga media organizations. The second group is composed of the academia. So, meron UP logos dyan, kasi may UP Baguio, UP Cebu, and also University of Santo Tomas. Yun yung mga media academic partners. And the third one is the newest, as far as the 2022 election is concerned. Ito yung civil society or citizens groups, citizen fact checkers. Kasama doon yung abakada. Kasama doon yung abakada, Facts First. Yun yung may Christian Esdera. Yun yung Christian Esdera. He does podcast. And that's also Montadaya and Pinas Forward. So ito yung grupo ng civil society or people's organization that joined the fact-checking coalition in 2013. Mahalaga yung grupo na ito kasi nakikita namin na ito yung magiging kung saan mas masigla yung fact-checking because they have links with community, they have links with people's organization, and they don't just interact with audience and social media, but they do it face-to-face with people in the community. So I'm going to discuss a bit of that later. Okay, so ano ba yung fact-checking? So this could be a definition, although incomplete. So it refers to the process of selecting, testing, and evaluating the truthfulness of claim. What is a claim? Ito yung sinasabi ng mga politiko. Ito yung sinasabi ng mga public figures. Ito yung sinasabi ng mga individuals of public standing. And you don't just select, test, and evaluate the veracity. You also correct false information. So, hindi nila siya natitigan kung tama o mali, kino-correct mo rin siya. That you have the fact check. And that is the form is called fact check. So, bakit kailangan ng publicness ng access na to? Because when they say, when politicians say something, when public officials say something, when public figures say something, they enter the arena of the public discourse. Mahalaga yun. So when they say this in private, they pakialam. But when it's in their Facebook pages, when it's part of their campaign, speeches, or debates, or interviews, or the way what we said in the public rally, these statements enter the arena of public struggle. Because they could be contested. Therefore, they are potential appeals for fact-checking. Okay. See, there is a sorry, there's no fact-check. Sorry, that's the Sorry, kinamakta ko yung video. Baka reference kasi. So, I have to make sure it's right. Okay, see, Guillermo, he was the pioneer of the U.S. fact called Politica. So sa kanya, yung book niya sa Beyond Lies, he was looking at, kung i-compare mo daw yung Republicans at Democrats, sino ba yung nagsisinungaling? Sabi niya, nag-interview daw siya, he wasn't really telling the truth. Sinabi yun, pareho na sila, there seems to be an equivalence in the way they lie. But in the end, in his book, he said, sa totoo lang, mas maraming lies or false statements coming from the Democrat, the Republican, not the Democrats. Which means that walang equivalence to the way that they lie. So sabi niya, lagi, pagsasabi ng kasinungalingan matters in our democracy because it destabilizes the social fabric. What does it mean by that? Distrust, right? Distrust in the way in which we relate to each other, the way in which we relate to the government or the politicians that relate to us. So what we create is distrust. Hindi mo sila paniniwalaan. Next time around, they say something that it threatens democracy because if lies circulate around, people will not be able to possess information they need when they vote, when they pay taxes, when they transact with government, or when they deal with public officials. Triple social discourse because of this distrust. We end up having a society so polarized in terms of people with, mahirap mag-create ng social consensus because of this distrust. So there's polarization, and then there are issues that we have to come together and discuss and then create consensus, as should happen in a public sphere according to this theories Jürgen Habermas. However, when lies creep into the equation, the social discourse could no longer take place to create consensus. Then, of course, it engages our health. Remember, during the pandemic, mayroong mga anti-vax, mayroong mga conspiracy theory, and all this sort. So there was a deluge of all these kinds of claims during the pandemic, and that also endangers our health, not just physical, but also mental, because we get to be pulled into believing in sorts of claims, health claims or medical claims. Okay. So, yung fact-checking is actually a journalism genre. In other words, it's a tool journalists use every day in the newsroom. Kasi kailangan mo, pag may balita, you have to fact-check. We call it internal fact-checking in the newsroom. However, increasingly, this kind of practice in the newsroom is being organized as a standalone project of journalism. In other words, hindi na just a newsroom, nagiging project siya ng journalist. And that means that fact-checking went out of the newsroom, wear smoking shoes, and become part of journalism's engagement with the audience, with the publics that they resort to serve, or with the communities where they are located. So, yung fact-checking organization started in the US in the early 2000s. In the Philippines, it was around 2015. So yung local fact-checking initiatives dito sa Pilipinas is benefited from the growth of global fact-checking movement. Kasi develop na nila yung fact-check, they have a way of doing it. So the Filipino journalists try to adapt their techniques of fact-checking. And the pioneers of fact-checking in the Philippines are two independent small, now they're growing, emerging players in media, Verifiles, Verifiles, and also Rappler. So sila yung pioneers na fact-checking project as not just inside the newsroom, but taking it from a standalone project na kanilang news organization. I mean, not just in their everyday editing of the news, but they become a separate function or a separate program of this news organization. So they were accredited in 2017 by the National Fact-Checking Organization. In 2019 and 2022, Check.ph was launched. Ano ba nang nangyari ng 2019? Ano ba ang significant yun? Kaninong time? It was the time of Duterte. Okay, so yung journalists in the Philippines actually became interested in fact-checking in 2016 when Duterte won as president, the strength of network disinformation. And also, this policy also pervaded 6 years of administration. And then, remember, the so-called keyboard warriors in Duterte made their presence felt in the 2016 election and was responsible for the victory of Duterte. And then when Duterte sat in power as president, he needed support his deplorable policies of drug war, and his critics had to be silenced, among them Senator Leila de Lima. A few of the highly partisan trolls and influencers of Duterte even joined his cabinet, being part of his government. And so in 2019 election, it was the first election when Duterte sat in office, Check.ph was organized. In the 2022 election, which is the last election of Duterte's term, Check.ph was organized. Was reorganized. In 2019, we have 14 partners. In the 2022 elections, we have 34 partners. Ngayon, we have 24 partners na read out kami. Kasi yung iba last time, hindi naman talaga active. And then, although they're part of us, but they were not really active in fact check. So ended up now with 24 partners. Okay. The 2022 election is also significant because ito yung time that the platforms, among them Meta, Facebook, said that they will no longer support third-party fact checkers. The 2019-2022 election, dati sumusuporta sila sa Check.ph with the way of funding and also Google News Initiative. So dalawa yung funders, dalawa yung tech. Google News Initiatives and Meta or Facebook. So 2020, 2019, 2025, sabi nila ayaw namin ng third-party fact checkers. So bahala na lang kayo. Well, we can fact check our platforms, but wala naman nakialam. We're not support you anymore. So that is what we are now. We don't have tech support, tech company support, which we used to have. Kasi sa totoo lang, used naman talaga yun, kahit na nag-support sila sa amin, because even if they supported us, they were not committed to help us. When we flagged information in the previous fact-checking projects, hindi naman nila tinatake down, hinahayaan na nila mag-circulate. In other words, they did not commit themselves to taking down the posts which we flagged as false or misleading or deceiving or whatever, lacks context. So in other words, pwede na rin wala sila kasi wala naman talaga silang positive commitment to really take on the post. But they do it in Europe, they do it in the US. Apparently, hindi sila naman ka-invested sa ating democracy. Okay. In 2019 election, these are the findings, general findings of the fact checks with the fact check projects Check.ph. In 2019 election, ano bang nakita namin? Opposition members were targeted massively by the pro-Duterte supporters, highly partisan supporters, trolls. In 2022 election, this was Check.ph spent 6 months fact-checking hate speech against opposition candidates like Kiko Trejo, like Leila, Kiko Pangilinan, members of Makabayong Bloc, and disinformation, historical distortion, which rehabilitated the images of the Marcoses and Duterte. So the social media groups are massively distributed online. They have made their presence felt online, and they were identified with the Marcos and Duterte tandem. In 2022 election, dalawa yung coalition ng fact-checking. Kasi dati yung Rappler is with Checker Case. Lumabas sila after Maria Ressa won the Nobel Peace Prize. Lumabas sila and then created their own. So there are two coalitions, the Facts First and the Check and PH. But we have the most number of fact-checking organizations of the two coalitions. Although, but they are better funded than us, of course. So, in the 2025 election, ano ba yung context natin ngayon? So this is the time of political polarization between the two ruling groups in the ruling class. Who are they? The Marcoses and the Duterte. Remember, there is this impeachment complaint against Sara Duterte. And this political polarization is very much felt, and it's basically the impeachment is an abuse of public trust, a disregard of accountability in governance. And this time, luckily, we have experienced fact checkers, the likes of Abacada, Amiga Mike, and Gio. In other words, mas better armed kami to fact check. Kasi we did it for the last two rounds, in 2019, 2022. At this time around, wag kami mamulit sa lang because we're better fact checkers this time. And we also are trying to experiment. We are also experimenting with the use of AI tools. Some newsrooms are doing it, like Fairfax, but we partnered with the Department of Computer Science and the College of Engineering here. You need to test AI tools to detect false information. So this is exciting for us because we have more partners. We have our experience. We have the state with us, especially the civil society, people's organizations, activists or activist fact checkers, and then we have AI. So sabi namin, let's do it this time. Lean, clean, and wicked tayo. And so why is it that we're also looking at how AI could help us in fact checking? Because AI, remember, you have to feed it with information. So if you fact checkers are around, and AI needs a corpus of accurate content. This would help, I think, improve the information that's circulating online, and likely that it could generate positive results for us. Although, well, that's our hope, but we're not really sure. Let's talk about again when this is over. Okay, so the question now is, in this 2025 election, parang argue, parang research question. Does fact-checking have the potential to influence political behavior? If you are into political science, this could be a good thesis, this could be a research paper, or does fact-checking act as a positive force of political discourse during elections? So, di ba sabi, mag-argue ka, you raise the question in your thesis or dissertation, the answer to that is your thesis or dissertation. So that's why you have to craft your argue very well. So, ito yung question, fact-checking ba, influence ba ng political behavior? Kung may presence ba ng fact-checking, talaga ba magsisinungaling yung mga politikong yan? Or matatakot ba sila? Or ano ba yung laban ng fact-checking to elevate the political discourse? So, yun yung specific to answer that question. So, totoo lang, mahirap sagutin itong question kasi wala kang masyadong studies on the political behavior that would arise or that would emerge upon the voters' reaction or upon the voters' engagement with fact checkers. So, yung studies, usually the studies that were done, including mine, are focused on the growth and content analysis of fact checking. So, most of the studies are on that category. There are almost no studies on fact-checking influencing political discourse. If you're into political science, you want to take this up and do a study of this for your paper or for your thesis, and that will be interesting. You can return and have this session again. So, as I said, ito pa yung tingnan natin, this election. So, ayun. Sa atin nila, yung presence ng fact-checking could create what we call as reputational damage. Reputational damage kanino sa mga politiko nagsisinungaling. Kasi the politicians have to even hire PR companies or even social media influencers to associate with the image na doon. Because they want to tawag doon self-presentation, to present the publicness of their image to voters, to be able to get votes. So, yung isa sa mga tinitignan ng mga studies, for example, is politicians, doing assumptions, and some studies have been done this, avoid reputational damage by not making statements to be debunked. In fact, checking sabi ko, wala pang anecdotal pa lang yung information. But in 2019 election, suddenly, maraming politiko na ayaw sumali sa debates. At saka ayaw pa-interview. Because interviews and debates are unscripted moments. They could have to speak spontaneously or whatever you have to say something. And then interviews and debates. So, halimbawa, si Cynthia Villar, na hindi nagpa-interview, hindi nagtumali sa debate, ay nanalo. She topped the race at the time. That's also true for Marcos Jr. in 2022 election. Hindi siya sumali sa debate. Nagpa-interview lang siya kay Kibuloy na SMNI, right? Dun sa TV network ni Kibuloy. Because ito yung sabi ng reputational damage na mangyari sa kanila kung they would issue statements na mali-mali at saka sinungaling. So, most of the senatorial lineup nila, so yung pinapa-interview lang, yung mga kabayan lang, gusto nila, yung opposition candidates, gusto sila, kasi very articulate sila, matalino, at saka they know why they're running. So, of course, the rest, the ibang politicians, led by Marcos Jr., ayaw pa-interview, ayaw sumali sa debate. So, and then study show that pag may presence ng fact-checking, pag kinurek sila, they also correct themselves in public. Some will accept that, okay, mali kami, mali figures namin, so we will try to say something. And they're more cautious when they say something publicly, but of course, meron din, walang pakialam, they would say something, repeat falsehood, or ignore and attack fact-checkers and say, oh, lista kayo, or bayaran kayo. That's the usual claim that bayaran kayo ng dilawan, bayaran kayo ng mga politiko, wala kayong credibility, bias kayo siya. That's the usual things. Those are the usual things they would say about fact-checkers. And some, of course, would be humble enough to adjust their behavior or to withdraw their statements of problematic. Recently, Bacol did that, right? Sino ba yung nag-apologize siya?
Percy.
Yeah, Percy. Kasi may sinabi siya na insensitive. Nag-apologize siya. Kasi wala siya talagang laban doon. Okay, so in studies, some of the studies abroad, there's an awareness of the work of fact-checker. Maraming politiko na alam nila nag-exist yung fact-checkers, pero sabi nila, ano yan, walang effect yan sa akin, hindi na namin binabasa. That's what they say in public. The truth is, yung mga image PRs nila, yung mga handlers nila, talaga tinitingnan din yung fact-checking. Sinusuyod-suyod yung mga fact-checks namin araw-araw, titingnan kung paano makalibrate yung kanilang public statements. And then some would say, in the UK, for example, yung conservative leaders would say, irritan sila, nakairita yan, mudawang. Critiques, fact-checkers, for some would say na, tsaka kayo, nitpick nyo kami, yung minor details, hindi nakikinig sa overall picture, broader point to be made. Sometimes it's only true, because not all fact-checks are perfect in any way, but it's also true that they are reacting to the statements of fact-checkers. So, yung strategists nila and politicians, sinasabi, huwag kayo masyadong magbigay ng statement. Huwag kayo masyadong sayaw naman dyan, kanta, or what. Because you're vulnerable, kasi fact checkers are around. Okay, so, ano bang challenges ng fact checkers? So, ito ba, lahat ba ng facts verifiable? So, lahat ba ng, but then you also have the problem with, during election, yung political rhetoric and hyperbole. Yung exaggerations and political rhetoric. Yan yun. Lahat ba yung mga fact checkers in the last election, sinasabi na, meron Italiano goals si Marcos. What is that? Is that a political rhetoric? Is that what kind of claim is that? Naniwala kami sa Italiano gold na distribute ng mga Marcoses. So, naninimbang ibang fact checkers, hindi nila alam kung i-fact check nila to because it's really ridiculous. I'll try to make this ridiculous statement. But naninimbang yung iba. Yung iba naman, pina-fact check nila, which is part of the political discourse of the Marcoses. So you give it a context, you'll be able to fact check it. If it's just a standalone verified referendum na matapos lang yung election, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even find out. So, significant statement. So, kung ba nagpapali lang siya, instead sinabi niya 11, sinabi niya instead of 10, ang fact check mo ba yun? Kasi nagpapali lang siya eh. Will meaning naman. So, that's also one of the things that fact checkers have to think about. And many fact checkers, kasi tinitingnan namin, meron kaming mga tip lines. These are automated tip lines. Tinitingnan namin yung mga claims. And usually, fact checkers would fact check before a claim would go viral. So kung nakikita mo yung movement doon, because Facebook and Google gave us tools na binibigyan kami nila ng access doon sa kanilang tools to check whether a claim would go viral. Kung parang tataas siya, i-fact check mo na bago siya mag-spread. That's what we do. And then to be repeated by others. So dapat babantayan mo yun. So isa sa mga challenges. And then topics that are in news could also be fact-checked. What about those that are not in news? Kasi may problema na yung media. Kasi lahat na yung media tumatambay sa social media. Tinitingnan nila kung may viral to information na gawin nila news. What about poverty? What about issues on gender discrimination? Hindi naman most of the time sexy, but or violence against women, hindi naman most of the time sexy. But these are issues that are drug war that may not necessarily be in the news, but could have immense social impact. The problem again with fact checking is we give ratings away. Accurate, false, true, misleading, no basis, no context. Yung ibang fact check organization like Pinocchio, so hahaba yung nose ng Pinocchio, or pants on fire. So maraming graphical at saka iba-ibang verdicts or iba-ibang criteria ng fact check. Problema din kami kasi like our coalition of fact check, yung kanya-kanyang rating, we don't even know kung we have to harmonize it. So, in other words, subjective naman talaga yung fact checking to the level of these have to be debated and discussed before you can even say that this is, ito yung rating mo. So that's why a collective effort should be appreciated here. Okay, sinabi natin na fact-checking came from journalism tradition. So some galing to this journalists would like to believe that they are neutral and objective. So walang kinikilingan, walang pinopropektahan. Kasi that's a claim, but of course that's not true. Sabi na yung because you are always a ready ideology, sabi nga ni Althusser. In other words, hindi mo pwede sabihin na neutral ka talaga or objective ka talaga, that's how you approach fact checking. Otherwise, hindi mo ma-recognize yung mga hidden biases na probably you have. And language is neutral and definitely goes aside. So that's the journalistic tradition of fact checking. By the way, if you are interested in digital investigation techniques, You can click, meron silang mga courses on how to verify information, how to verify whether a photograph is AI generated or deep fakes or not, or low fakes or whatever. So you visit digital courses of advanced transference, self-taught. So you can, meron siyang Portuguese, Spanish, and French. Great. Okay, so as I said, rising star of fact checking is the activist tradition of fact checking. Unlike journalists, fact checkers who have displayed objectivity and neutrality, yung framework of journalism norms, activist fact checkers adhere to the norms of social justice, human rights, and people's participation, and looking at how people are disadvantaged in many ways, right? So, social inequality. And fact checking is not a way to just correct false information, but fact checking is a form of counter discourse. In other words, it's a form of political contestation. It is there to debunk claims not because of dwelling on the facticity of information, but because we think this discourse is going to oppress, harm, or pollute the information ecosystem during the election and could have deceive, discriminate, and oppress groups in society, those who are marginalized. So that is where it's coming from. Okay. So I identified, I'm doing a paper on this, and identified 50 or so organizations, and I'm going to show you just a few examples of what we call our activist fact checkers. And this, I call this is emergent. So Gabriela, the pink one is Gabriela, the debunk nila yung confidential funds, and the other one is teachers, fact check. So ito yung mga examples of activist fact checking. Okay, there's another one, the one by Alter Media. Sinabi ni Kibulon, UP and other SUCs are recruitment agencies for CPP and PhD. This bastard. So policy rating niya, di ba? Siyempre, ano ba? And then, the other one is the fact check the avocado. Nila Mike. So, as I said, they adhere to the tradition of activism. They brought with them their advocacies and also use the fact-checking tool as a platform to educate people and make sure that disinformation is stopped before it harmed people, like being, red tagging is one of those systemic harm. And real harm, of course. Okay, so, it's okay. This is my last slide. You can engage in me later. Sige, if fact-checking is a tool, we should be able to harness this tool. According to this poet, singer, activist, U.S. Annual Franco, so I think nasa Heart and Negres book in Fire, every tool is a weapon, if you know it. Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat kay Dr. Nabiste sa isang napaka-lalim at napaka-komprehensibong talakay sa field ng fact-checking, especially sa photodetection ng isang mga makaya. Siguro maganda sa masalahin natin ang pagkakataon nito para sa mga tanong. Okay. So, maglaan tayo ng mga ilang minuto para makapag-tanong kay Dr. Nabiste. Baka meron sa inyo rito na gustong linawin, gustong itanong o ano man, ngayon yung pagkakataon. Baka meron dito gusto maging fact checker.
Sige.
Ano?
If you are in the political science department, kasama yung all side class. Nakasama siya sa check. Run ng check.
Siguro kung walang matatanong yung iba nakakahiyaan nag-aantay ng unang magtatanong. Ako na yung babasa. Okay. Yung iba nag-aantay na may mauni. Siguro yung isang bagay na madalas tinatanong sa mga fact-checking organizations, hindi lang ng abakada, kundi ng iba pa, ay yung notion ng pagbasa ng echo chamber. Marami nag-iisip kasi na can fact-checking actually do something to shatter that echo chamber? Or, baka naman kasi, fact-check tayo fact-check, di ba, without realizing na it doesn't actually do anything. Na yung mga gusto na sana natin makabasa ng fact-check natin, they're not the people within our networks. So, umiikot-ikot lang siya. So, parang yung ano natin, feedback lang. So, feedback loop lang siya. Na, halimbawa, abakada, fact-check, di ba, and then, sino nasa network ng abakada? Like-minded people, preaching to the choir, essentially. So, feedback lang siya ng feedback, it doesn't solve anything. So, how do we address such concerns? May magagawa kayong fact-check.
Okay, so it's a important question, really, whether kahit tayo naman fact-check the thing about echo chamber. So, sa social media kasi, hindi naman transparent yung algorithm. We don't even know. It's opaque. Hindi natin alam na nangyari dun sa social media. Kung paano nila, design at paano nila nilagay doon yung fact-check ko at sino mga we don't even know that. They're not even transparent to us. Even to us fact-checkers. So yung solution ko dyan, sabi ko, bakit kailangan ng people-oriented or activist fact-checkers? Kasi yung fact-checking, unlike the media, unlike academic, na lahat ng fact-check nila, sinasaboy nila, broadcast or dinadump nila or they just put on social media. The activist fact-checkers have people in communities. They have their constituency. They have their groups that they engage with, real people in their communities, in their sectors, in their organizations that could benefit from face-to-face interaction. So in other words, these activist fact-checkers are not only dependent on social media as the way in which they spread, they educate or they correct false information. In other words, mahalaga pa rin mag-organisa, mahalaga pa rin bumalik sa community, mahalaga pa rin mag-face-to-face encounter kaysa social media because we don't even know the game of algorithms kasi hindi naman transparent sa atin yan. So that's why I believe that the future of fact-checking, if it has to be effective, lies in the hands of people's organization that do fact-checking. The advocacy fact-checkers, activist fact-checkers, who are dealing with communities or organizations and people in a manner that iba pa rin kasi pag kita nakakausap ng mga tao, especially during elections. So, the trials of the worry about echo chamber is valid, but I'm not going to bet on that it should set the way that we should, or social media should dictate the terms in which we should fact check, or do media and news literacy, or educate the people in relation to the claims that we make, debunk, or verify information. In other words, our fact checks.
Salamat, Rosa. Baka may mga gusto pa magtanong. By the way, sorry kung hindi tayo upuan. So, yung mga walang upuan, nangihiram na kami kanina doon sa mga katabing classrooms. Pasensya na, hindi lang tayo upuan. And by the way, mayroong registration attendance sheet na pinapasa-pasa kanina, baka yung mga nalalate. If if you need to have your attendance marked for this afternoon. Nasa yung attendance sheet? Somewhere here. Okay. So yung kailangan mag-attend.
Any questions?
Tanong? Yes.
Kailangan pa posibilidad ng creative studies. Ang tanong ko po,
Dahil marami na akong politiko na nagpapakalat ng mga maling impormasyon, paano mo natin tinutukol o pinipili yung mga paksa na pinapacheck po natin?
Okay. Ano bang batayan? Actually, there's no single way to choose which place. Pero if that particular claim has become an systemic harm or existential harm, which means impact on your life or your beliefs or your way of, or frameworks of how you see the world. Usually, there's no single way or single guideline or criteria na sabihin na this is the only way to do it. Because the tools are there. And if you heard or you notice, if you take notice, heard, or read a claim, which it should be fact-checked because it's false and it's likely to deceive, to harm, or to do anything which could, pollute the public discourse or deceive people or prevent them from, for example, voting or choosing the candidates that are better suited to run public office. Wala naman. You can do it. So that's how democratic fact-checking is a tool. You could use it, and you could also do whatever you want with it. There's no single way. So in other words, with the presence of citizen fact-checkers, we have proven that fact-checking is not just a privilege of media organizations or academics who are trained to fact-check, but to be a tool for everyone.
Meron pang iba.
Yes, please.
Hello po. So sa karanasan ko po, may mga karoon ng eleksyon, may mga nakaka-receive naman ng sa community namin ng fact-check news. Pero ang problem ay nabago na kasi yung perception nila before nung parang statements na contrary to the fact-check ones. So parang may pre-existing belief na sila. So kahit mabasa man nila yung parang fact-check na mga posts, parang hindi pa rin nila yung tinatanggap. So ang tanong ko, parang how do we approach that?
Mahirap din yun. Sabi natin, kahit na yung nangyari sa election, ilang beses na namin pinacheck na such thing as Taliano Gold or the martial law is not the golden age of the Philippines, at pabalik-balik siya na pinupost sa social media and people believe that it's true. Para, ano ba gagawin natin? Develop in many ways. So it brings us to an opportunity to intervene, or it brings us to take. Factually, then is not the solution to this issue of disinformation. In other words, mas malalim yung hugot dito, hindi lang fact-checking solution. How did it happen that this group of people or your neighbors would like to believe that this false information, how many times that this thing has been fact-checked and yet they refuse to? In other words, titingnan mo rin, baka may ibang dahilan. So, even if I'm a fact-checker involved in this, I wouldn't say that this is the only solution to the problem of disinformation. So what do we have? We have inequalities, structural inequalities, the kinds of politics that we have. So I was asked, ano bang relasyon ng disinformation sa political dynasty? And I have an answer. Kung ikaw yung political dynasty with 10 people in your community, in your province, town, city, that we are the only family that could rule this place because we know your problems and there's no other area of problem. That's also disinformation. And yet, political dynasties are being elected to this in this country every election, and nobody would even contest it. And they have all the resources, communicative resources, political resources, social capital, all of that, put together to bring themselves to be elected. And that is also a form of deception, and that is disinformation. So in other words, ano gagawin natin ayun wala? This is the time to bring an analysis that's deeper than just looking at disinformation. Baka yung solusyon, mas fundamental, mas radical than just fact check.
Meron pa ba? Okay, oras.
Wala na.
Meron pa ba?
Ako so.
Hello, Boyd. I'd just like to ask, hello, have fact checkers found more creative ways to push, for example, narratives that are also factual? Because sa Bible, for example, mga Marcoses, for example, they frame yung relationship ni Marcos and Imelda as a love story, and it's being reproduced on TikTok and things like this that engage sa mga contents na ganun. So, how fact checkers have kind of parang deviated from yung normal posts number, for example, that say, this is the statement, this is to more.
The more creators, yes. Kasi po, I'm coming from also creative background, and parang sa NSC na, parang ganun din ko yung gusto namin way ipalabas yung so, fact checkers have when the more creative ways of displaying facts and other characters.
Yes, thank you. Alam ko yung mga Gen Z leaders gusto where on TikTok, where on Reels, where on Blue Sky, where on X. So, give us a few days, as naman natin next week, a few days we will populate that. We also have experts, we also have people, for example, Bakoy Dogs, yung kanilang personality to deliver the fact checks. In other words, we try to be creative. We try to be diversity of men. We also pay attention to that. And we try to be boring. Just give you pets. We also have rabbits. We have etc. So, yun. I hope magiging attraction. And then, pag hindi na, well,